Microsoft hit a new record high on Wall Street.
They'll do whatever he can to capture more of the market.
You were like the youngest person to become a billionaire. Is that right?
Yeah, in terms of my own, earning it on my own.
In the 1980s and 1990s, one company quietly tightened its grip around the digital world. Its software ran on nearly every personal computer. Its founder became the richest man alive, and its dominance was so complete that governments began to fear it. Microsoft was not born as a monopoly. It became one. Founded in 1975 by Bill Gates and Paul Allen, the company began with a simple mission: put a computer on every desk and in every home. By the late 1990s, that vision had largely come true, but at a cost few people understood at the time. Behind Microsoft's clean Windows interface and corporate branding was a fiercely competitive culture, aggressive licensing tactics, secret internal memos, and one of the most dramatic antitrust battles in American history. Bill Gates was often portrayed as a genius programmer turned philanthropist. But long before the charity work and global health initiatives, there was another era, one defined by domination, legal warfare, and a relentless drive to crush competition. This is the darker side of Microsoft's rise. In 1980, Im approached a small company called Microsoft to supply an operating system for its new personal computer. Microsoft didn't have one, but Bill Gates saw an opportunity. Instead of selling software outright, he negotiated a licensing deal that allowed Microsoft to retain ownership of the system, later known as MS-DOS. That single decision changed everything. When IBM PCs exploded in popularity, other manufacturers began building IM-compatible machines. And because Microsoft had retained licensing rights, every compatible computer needed MS-DOS. Microsoft wasn't manufacturing hardware. It was controlling the software layer beneath it. By the late 1980s, Microsoft's Windows operating system became the gateway to personal computing. Developers had little choice but to build for Windows. Consumers had little choice but to buy it. Gates understood leverage early. Control the platform, and you control the ecosystem. That strategy made Microsoft indispensable, but it also planted the seeds of monopoly power. In the mid-1990s, a new threat emerged: the internet. And at the center of it was Netscape Navigator, a web browser rapidly gaining popularity. Microsoft initially underestimated it. Then it panicked. Internal emails later revealed that executives saw Netscape as a platform risk, something that could reduce Windows dominance. Microsoft responded aggressively. It developed Internet Explorer and bundled it directly into Windows, making it nearly impossible for PC manufacturers to remove. The strategy worked. Netscape's market share collapsed, but regulators took notice. In 1998, the US Department of Justice filed an antitrust lawsuit accusing Microsoft of illegally maintaining monopoly power and crushing competition. Court proceedings revealed internal communication suggesting Microsoft deliberately used its operating system dominance to eliminate rivals. In 2000, a federal judge ruled that Microsoft had violated antitrust laws and initially ordered the company to be broken into two separate entities. The breakup was later overturned on appeal, and a settlement was reached in 2001. Microsoft survived, but its image was permanently altered. Former Microsoft employees from the 1990s often described a culture of internal competition bordering on hostility. Performance reviews ranked employees against one another in a system critics called stack ranking. Those at the bottom were pushed out. Teams competed fiercely for influence. Bill Gates himself was known for intense technical interrogations, publicly challenging employees' ideas in meetings. Some saw it as brilliance demanding excellence, others saw it as intimidation. Microsoft's corporate strategy mirrored this culture externally. When competitors threatened its dominance, from WordPerfect to Real Networks to Sun Microsystems, Microsoft often leveraged Windows integration to undermine them. Internal embrace, extend, extinguish tactics became part of tech folklore. Microsoft would adopt open standards, extend them in proprietary ways, and make competitors incompatible. The approach was effective. It also deepened suspicions that Microsoft valued control above all else. By the early 2000s, many startups feared not just competition from Microsoft, but absorption or annihilation. As Microsoft tightened its grip over PC software, innovation in certain sectors slowed. Critics argued that developers hesitated to build competing platforms because Microsoft could simply integrate similar features into Windows and distribute them instantly to millions of users. The company denied anti-competitive intent, insisting that integration improved user experience. Yet lawsuits from companies like Sun Microsystems and Real Networks accused Microsoft of using secret APIs and preferential treatment for its own products. The European Union launched its own investigations in the early 2000s, ultimately fining Microsoft billions of euros for anti-competitive practices related to Windows Media Player bundling and server interoperability. Regulators forced Microsoft to offer alternative versions of Windows in Europe. The message was clear. Dominance at that scale required oversight. Bill Gates stepped down as CEO in 2000, handing leadership to Steve Ballmer. But the legal battles continued for years. Microsoft was no longer just a software company. It had become a symbol of unchecked tech power. By the mid-2000s, Bill Gates began shifting public focus. In 2006, he announced he would gradually step away from daily operations at Microsoft to dedicate more time to the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. The foundation would go on to become one of the largest philanthropic organizations in history, funding global health initiatives, vaccine programs, and education reform. Gates' public image transformed from ruthless tech titan to global humanitarian, yet critics questioned the influence that level of wealth created. The foundation's investments sometimes intersected with corporate interests. During the COVID-19 pandemic, Gates became both widely praised and widely criticized as conspiracy theories spread about vaccine influence and global health policy. While many of these claims were baseless, they reflected broader public discomfort with concentrated power. Even in philanthropy, Gates' legacy became dual-layered. One side remembered the aggressive monopolist, the other celebrated the philanthropist. Both are part of the same story. In 2014, Satya Nadella became CEO, marking a cultural shift. Microsoft pivoted toward cloud computing with Azure, open source collaboration, and enterprise services. The company adopted a more cooperative public posture, even embracing Linux, once considered an enemy. Under Nadella, Microsoft regained market admiration. It acquired LinkedIn, GitHub, and later Activision Blizzard in one of the largest tech deals in history. Yet questions about market concentration resurfaced. The cloud computing market became dominated by three giants: Microsoft, Amazon, and Google. Government contracts, including defense and intelligence partnerships, expanded Microsoft's influence further. While the tone softened, the scale of power grew. Today, Microsoft is again one of the most valuable companies in the world. But unlike the 1990s, it operates with greater regulatory awareness. The company learned from its antitrust battle. It now moves strategically, often avoiding overt confrontation. But its infrastructure runs much of the digital economy, from corporate email servers to cloud databases to gaming networks. Power doesn't always look aggressive. Sometimes it looks integrated. Microsoft's story is not simple. Bill Gates was undeniably brilliant. His early strategic decisions reshaped computing forever. But the same strategies that built Microsoft's dominance also triggered one of the most significant antitrust battles in modern history. The browser war, the bundling tactics, the internal culture, they left a legacy that still shapes how regulators approach big tech today. Without Microsoft's legal defeat in the early 2000s, the regulatory landscape for companies like Google, Apple, and Amazon might look very different. In many ways, Microsoft was the prototype. It showed how platform control can become market control. It demonstrated how dominance invites scrutiny, and it proved that survival sometimes requires reinvention. Bill Gates' legacy includes both technological revolution and aggressive monopoly tactics. History rarely offers pure heroes or villains, but one thing is certain: Microsoft didn't rise by accident. It rose through strategy, leverage, and a willingness to fight, in courtrooms as fiercely as in code.